Welcome to 94.1 WWLLMP. I am your host, Local Lizard Man, aka Retro Modern Elijah, and today I am going to tell you about some of the games I've been playing, a show that has piqued my interest, some of the newest news, and the Switch turned 1 year old. Now let's get into what I've been playing and watching. Now, we're going to start with what I've been watching, which there are two shows. I've been watching Parks and Recreation. Show is hysterical. I'm loving it. April is like my soulmate. It's such a great show, so funny. Everybody is so well portrayed. There's pretty much, except for John Ralphio, not a single character I dislike. But the real show I want to talk about, it's a Netflix show called Re-Mind. So Re:*Mind. Semicolon, I think. I actually get semicolon and colon mixed up. So Re-Mind, which is all about, it is a Japanese show, and these schoolgirls wake up at this dining room table in this room, and their feet are chained in this box in the floor, and they don't know why they're there. And they have to figure out what is going on. It's really, really interesting, and it kept my attention the entire time. Not a single moment did I say, oh, this is dragging on or anything. That show was very well paced, and I've realized I'm just a big fan of, like, mysteries like that. And, I mean, even Nine Dead, which wasn't a great movie, but it still kept my attention the entire time. Games like Danganronpa have that. Everyone's trapped here, find out why. And I really dig that kind of thing. So Re-Mind really captured my attention, and the show had the title had two big meanings. So, think, use your mind. But it kind of was like rewind, because in order to think of everything, they needed to go back from the beginning and play it all over again. So it's a really interesting show. If you don't mind reading subtitles, I highly recommend it. But let's get into what I've been playing, shall we? I'm just gonna, PUBG, same thing, not gonna harp on. Got a few more chicken dinners. I want to say since the last episode, I've gotten 2 solos and a couple team dinners. But then also, yeah, you know what? I'm going to start off with the PSVR games I've been playing. I have played a game called Darknet, which is essentially a game about hacking, and it's really interestingly done. It's essentially a puzzle game, but I've been really enjoying it. I've spent a good bunch of hours with it now. I am going to attempt to get all of the trophies. 2 of them I don't quite understand, and even the internet hasn't been a big help. But I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try and decipher the meanings of what to do. Another game I've dabbled with, I need to continue, is a horror-ish game called Stifled, and the whole it starts out with you wake up at the beginning from a car accident, and your wife is gone, and it gives you some clues because you're going around the house and discovering a little bit about the family, but your wife is gone. And right now I'm going through these sewer tunnels, and I don't know what they are, but they're these almost baby looking things that try to kill you. But the interesting thing about this game, if you stand completely still, the screen is white. If you take a step, there's kind of like a sound wave that goes out, and you can see your surroundings. For a lesser sound wave, the game uses the VR microphone. So talking like this would send out sound waves. Not quite as big as much as taking a step, especially in sewers walking through water. Sound waves won't be as big, but it gives you a sound wave just by talking. It's really interesting. I need to continue on with it, but I enjoyed what I played. Then a few more things. I started Xenoblade 2, which we will talk about more later, but I started it. I'm gonna say maybe I'm an hour, 2 hours into it, so I've I've barely touched it, but I'm enjoying it so far. So we will be continuing on with that. Uh, I have a long running thing with my best friend from overseas. Her and I will get together once a week when we both have off, and time zones like match up well enough for us, and we will play Dark Souls 2 together. We've been co-oping the game, and we start at the very beginning, and we're actually pretty close to the end now. And I'm going to say I had 2 trophies before I started it, and I got 18 trophies in the month of February. So I've been having a great time playing that again. I love the Dark Souls series. I have so much fun with them. They're so much fun to just go explore. And I really, really enjoy that aspect of them. The art style in Dark Souls is just so good. Like that's one of the reasons I got the Dark Souls 2 Collector's Edition the day it came out, when I've never played Dark Souls before. I love the art style. I love everything about the aesthetics in that series. But also, I've been continuing Monster Hunter naturally, going on. Right now, I am looking at getting more armor pieces so I can continue the story. To give you an idea of where I currently am, I need to hunt Nergigante. Then I started playing Beholder, which is an interesting little indie game where you are in charge of an apartment complex in this specially governed. I want to say, I don't know if it explicitly says where it's at, but my guess is in like a European nation, maybe even a Soviet nation. I'm not 100% sure. But it is your job to spy on the tenants by putting cameras in their apartments when they're not in, keeping tabs on the cameras, taking notes. Also, when they're not in, going through their stuff, seeing if there's anything that's like illegal, but also while trying to take care of your family. It's an interesting game that I thoroughly enjoy, and I'm not great at it because, well, let's not talk about how my last ending happened. But it's a fun game. Now, the last 3 games I've been playing, one took me by complete surprise. One, I had played a little bit before, and I knew I liked the style and idea of it. And the other one, it was okay. So we're going to talk about the one that's okay. I started God of War on PS3, the original God of War. And I'm like, this game's okay. Then I remembered I have it on Vita. I'm like, oh yeah, it probably runs terribly, but I gotta give it a shot. So I booted up God of War on Vita, and it runs pretty good. I played through the entire first game, and I actually just started the second game. So I can't really talk about that one yet, but it was fine. I'm not a big fan of that style of combat, or I don't know, the animation style. Like, I love Greek mythology, but I don't know, the way the game plays and feels, and I just couldn't get into it. I'm so excited for the new God of War because I love the look of it, the aesthetics. Just, I'll say aesthetics a lot because that plays a big part in a game to me, is how the game looks. Bloodborne was the first Soulsborne style game I really got into. Why? Because I think the art and the look in that game is just amazing, and almost that might be one of my favorite looking games ever, based on art design and everything, like, world design, world building. It's just amazing, and that's something that God of War couldn't pull off for me. But I didn't dislike the game. There are parts of the game where I'm like, why do I have to do this? But it wasn't overall bad. The game that I knew I would like, I played a little bit before, is Killer is Dead. I am a big Suda 51 fan. My favorite game of 2012 is Lollipop Chainsaw. I'm not kidding at all. Yes, amazing games came out that year. And yes, Lollipop Chainsaw meant more to me than any of those. I'm a big Suda 51 fan, big Grasshopper Manufacturer fan. So I really wanted to play through Killer is Dead. That game is quite interesting. We will say it that way. There are side missions where you have to look at women's private parts on dates. That's a thing. Yep. The gigolo missions they are. But it's a wacky, quirky, very Japanese game. So, I don't really know what you would expect there, but that's what I expected. Now, the game that I've played that was a total surprise to me at how much I like it, Hitman. The Hitman from 2 years ago that Square Enix put out, that it was released episodically. I picked it up on disc, and that game is super fun. Like, really super fun. And I'm not normally into that style of game, but I must have played a couple of levels so many times now, trying do different challenges, take out the targets in different ways. In the Sapienza level, you can put an explosive golf ball in the ball basket and then just wait for the target to go and hit it, and his body flies up in the air like a rag doll. It's awesome. But the game's just crazy, kooky. There's a story, but it's kind of throwaway. It's kind of just non-existent. But I've been having so much fun with Hitman. I even have a Let's Play of the Sapienza level up on my YouTube, which, if you're watching / listening to this, you're on my YouTube because I'm not on podcast services yet. So I have a Hitman Let's Play up of the Sapienza level in which I do the golf ball explosion, I do believe. But yeah, I've been having an absolute blast with that game, and it really surprised me. But now, let's talk about the news. First up on the news, let me say we have 3 news stories today as well as a topic. So, starting with the first news article from Rolling Stone. PAX operator ReedPop buys Eurogamer parent company Gamer Network. ReedPop produces games and pop culture live events like PAX, New York Comic Con, and TwitchCon. Now it's expanding beyond event production and adding the Gamer Network to its portfolio. The Gamer Network is home to a number of video game publications, community sites, and YouTube channels, including Eurogamer, Rock Paper Shotgun, VG247, and GameIndustry.biz. It also organizes the UK's biggest games event, EGX. Now, one thing I don't think it mentions in here, but keep in mind, that means they also now own, I'm drawing on the blank, Digital Foundry. That's it, Digital Foundry, which is known for doing comparisons and really getting into the technical aspects of different games. And they are a very important one for a lot of people I know. Over on Eurogamer, editor Ollie Welsh reassures readers the publication isn't changing, but it can now use ReedPop's muscle to expand. The most important thing you, as Eurogamer readers, need to know about the seal is that Eurogamer is not going to change, he writes. We will still cover video games in exactly the same way, to the same depth as we do now. One thing I was thinking about the other day, I feel like ReedPop is kind of like THQ Nordic. And I mean that as in THQ Nordic started as this, yeah, we know what it is, old THQ properties. Just how ReedPop started with, like, they do PAX and New York Comic Con. Yeah, that's what they do. But both of them have expanded to such heights. THQ Nordic is still I'd say mid-tier developer, but the number of titles and different other companies it has under its banner is kind of overwhelming if you really think about it. And now ReedPop is getting that way too. You know, I know ReedPop from New York Comic Con and PAX East. That's a big one for me. I've heard their name kind of here and there. They were like, I didn't realize they were the company that does TwitchCon. But now they have these different publications and sites and YouTube channels under the banner. ReedPop is getting out there, which is kind of, it's interesting, but in a way scary, because with them expanding into different media, how do I want to put this? Different types of media, from other than just the behind the scenes to the front of the line. I'm curious how it's going to go, what their next move is, and what they're going to look like in a few years. Is this going to pan out for them and they'll be even bigger? Or in a few years, it can be like, well, this was a mistake. Only time will tell, but I'm very, very curious. I like ReedPop. Like, they do a wonderful job with PAX East and New York Comic Con. And I've heard from people who have attended E3 that they wish that was as good as ReedPop does these conventions. So I like them. I want them to keep going. But I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. Next up, we have from Kotaku. After months of controversy, Esrb will add in-game purchases label to games. As pressure from pundits and politicians mounts, the Entertainment Software Ratings Board, or ESRB, said today that it will start adding the in-game purchases label to any game that lets you pay real money for digital goods. The label will apply to bonus levels, skins, surprise items such as item packs, loot boxes, mystery awards, music, virtual coins, and other forms of in-game currency, subscriptions, season passes, and upgrades, e.g. to disable ads. The ESRB said this morning in a press release. You might be thinking, won't this label apply to just about every modern video game? The answer is yes, probably. On a call with reporters this morning, ESRB President Patricia Vance said that any video game with an in-game option to purchase extra content will get the in-game purchases label, whether that content comprises premium currency or a $20 expansion pack. As long as you can buy something through the game's menu, the game will get this label. Now, in a way, this is a good idea, but it also, if a parent sees it as like, oh, my kid can just spend money, look at The Witcher 3. That game had content you can buy inside of it. 2 giant expansion packs. This label won't tell you if you can buy giant expansion packs or if you can buy randomized loot boxes with just digital goods you can wear or use. It's not a foolproof plan. I'm dying. And it's trying to appeal too much to the parent that just sees it on the box and like, oh, the kid can use my credit card for this, can't they? And not looking at the full kind of what the game has to offer and what the game's selling, like, transaction details are. So it's a stopgap, but it's not a great one. I mean, it works, but then again, I'm somebody in the game industry. I can tell you, like, I never once wonder if a game has, oh, is this gonna get a map pack or that? No. I wonder if the game has loot boxes, because some loot boxes, gonna look at you, Star Wars Battlefront 2, changed the way you actually play the game. But if a game has a map pack, it's like, whatever. So it's a stopgap, but they need to look at it on a deeper level, and I'm hoping they will at some point. And I'm curious how this will turn out, because I don't think it's the best route of action. But we'll see. There isn't really... I'm not going to lie. I myself can't think of a better way to do this, but I just know that there's gotta be a better way. There has to be. Now, for the last article, and the most important, and after I read this, you're going to say, why the hell is this the most important article? You see, many, many, many years ago, I turned on Cartoon Network and saw this show about mechanical animals, that there are teams that are piloting these animals, and it stuck in my head. And ever since then, Zoids has been a giant part of my life, to the point where over the past few years, I have some newer model kits of the old Zoids from, God, when did that air? I'm very curious about that now. But I mean, that was how many years ago, and I have these newer model kits that were made. I am looking this up. Zoids New Century Zero air date. TV episode calendar. 2001. 17 years ago, the first Zoids aired in America. Now, 17 years, Zoids has been a part of my life. So, when I got the news the other day that, and this is from GameSkinny, Zoids Wild multimedia franchise and Nintendo Switch game announced. Takara Tomy, the company behind the Zoids franchise, has announced a new multimedia project called Zoids Wild. This project will include toys, anime, a smartphone app, and a video game for Nintendo Switch. The Zoids franchise has been around since 1982 with various toys, comic books, anime series, and video games. The franchise revolves around animal-like mechs, usually piloted by human characters, that sometimes seem to have a mind of their own. The Nintendo Switch Zoids Wild game will be the first console game for the Zoids franchise since the turn-based strategy game Zoids Assault internationally released for the Xbox 360 in 2008. By the way, that's a really bad game. It makes me so sad to say that. Nothing else has yet been revealed about the upcoming Nintendo Switch title. It's currently unknown if Zoids Wild will release outside of Japan. I'm gonna import it anyhow. The last Zoids-related media seen outside of Japan was the Zoids Fusers anime series, which premiered first in the US in 2003, but ended its run halfway through due to low ratings. So, this is the first Zoids news in 12 years. The last series was Zoids Genesis. It was only in Japan, and I'm just so excited. Zoids Wild. This article doesn't say anything about anything other than the game, but I'm going to give you that news because I've read like 6 articles just to see if I could get anything new out of each one. So, the anime is directed by somebody who has directed the Pokemon Black and White show. The series composition is done by the company that did, I shouldn't say company, but the composer who did Digimon Adventure Try, which had very good music. And the animation is done by, I want to say it's called OLM. It is the animation studio behind Pokemon ever since the beginning of the show. So I'm really excited for this anime. There's a manga coming out. There's Zoids Wild figures that I'm just so excited to be able to talk about Zoids again, and not just, hey, remember watching Zoids back in the day? No, I'm excited to be able to say, hey, I'm so excited for this upcoming Zoids game. I actually imported most of them. I just need a few of the older ones for like the Famicom and such, but I have almost every Zoids game. It's an incredible series. It's a huge part of my past, and I still just can't believe I'm getting to talk about them with future plans. That's just awesome. Next up, March 3rd, the day of recording this, the Nintendo Switch is 1 year old. Now, I have not had the Switch for a full year. I got mine in April. I want to say I got mine the day or a few days after Mario Kart 8 came out. So, first off, I literally I saw some Switches out of Best Buy one day, and a few days later, I'm like, I should say, a couple friends were going to be playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Edition. So, I'm like, man, I kind of really want to play with them. I haven't bought a Nintendo console in a while. When I was at Best Buy the other day, they had some in stock. Screw it. And went to Best Buy, and actually it was my mother that got it for me because I did not have the money at the time. And she said, all right, let's go see if they have it. And I walk in Best Buy, and I'll never forget, I walked in the aisle, and I saw one Switch there. And there were 3 guys standing there in the aisle looking at the amiibos and such, which is right above where they had the Switch. And I look at the Switch and just look at them. And they look at me, and they're just like, no, it's cool, we got ours. Go for it. So, I remember getting the Switch that day, and I didn't have the money for Mario Kart on me, but I had it in my PayPal. So, I scoured to find places where I could use, like, pay from PayPal to buy eShop money so I could download Mario Kart 8. It was quite an interesting night, just all the searching I had to do. But it was totally worth it. That was the start of my love affair with the Nintendo Switch. Now, the funny thing is, I am not big on Nintendo franchises. I'm going to put it out there. I played Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I got really bored of it really fast. I thought many things that people would say, you're crazy, that's just not true, but I could not get into that game. I think aesthetically, it is one of the coolest looking games ever. I have a Breath of the Wild Switch case. I would gladly get a Breath of the Wild hat, shirt. I think aesthetically, that game is amazing. I think it looks incredible. The art style is incredible. I just think playing it was like the most boring 10 hours of my life. But I just wanted to get that rabbit out of the bag. I'm not a big fan of Legend of Zelda series. I'm not a big fan of the Mario series. But the Switch has still been an incredible console to own. I have played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe more than I've ever played any Mario Kart ever combined. It's just so much fun. And let me first get into the games I have. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Then I have Golf Story. Golf Story is an awesome little game. It is a golfing RPG. There's actually more RPG than golf in this game, which is kind of interesting. But it's so much fun. It's a little indie title. It's fantastic. Then I have Rocket League. If you've never played Rocket League, I don't even know what to say to you. Rocket League is incredible, and when it got announced for the Switch, I actually bought it twice. I bought it digitally one night because I wanted Rocket League. I wanted to be able to take it to work with me easily and play it at lunch. You know, that's one of the things that makes the Switch so cool is the portability of it, which I'll be getting to shortly on something I'm going to be doing. I actually also bought a physical copy of Rocket League because it was on sale for $15 one day at Best Buy, and I collect physical copies of games, so it was just a no-brainer for me. It also meant I could delete it off of the memory storage in it and not have to worry about that. Then I got Fire Emblem Warriors. I first got into Fire Emblem because of Fire Emblem Heroes, the mobile game, and because of that I started liking these different characters, and it got me super interested. I've always liked the Musou style games, and I want to play Hyrule Warriors. When they announced Hyrule Warriors for the Switch at Nintendo Direct 2 months ago, maybe? Something like that. I got excited. I'm like, I want this game. I'm going to be getting that game. So Fire Emblem Warriors, my girl Lucina's in it, and I'm thoroughly enjoying that game. And also my newest one, I got Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I haven't played too much of it. I am going to save it I'm going to Georgia for 2 days in May. That's going to be my playing game. And I'm also specifically taking it so, we're waiting in the car before the concert. Austin, get your Switch out. We'll play Mario Kart. Different things like that. Now, those are the games I have for it. Some of the awesome things that the Switch has brought to me. The night that me and two of my friends stood in line for the Super Nintendo Classic, which is actually the first time I've ever played Super Nintendo. Let's not talk about that. I'm upset at myself over that. I digress. When we were standing in line, me and both of my friends took our Switches and were playing Mario Kart, just standing in line waiting for this. That easy portability of it. I never play my Switch docked, ever. But one thing I'm going to do, speaking of the easy portability of the Switch in general, including the dock, I am starting to use the workout equipment at work on lunch break and such. What I'm actually going to do, I am going to take my Switch and the dock. Takes 10 seconds to plug it into the TV in the workout area, and I can play my Switch while I work out. 2 birds, 1 stone. And it's awesome. That's such an awesome thing. And I never thought it would work as well as it does. Granted, there's some problems. Games don't play as well handheld mode. I generally only play handheld mode. So anytime I'm interested in a game, I have to look first and see, how does it do in handheld? But that's to be expected. The battery life is pretty damn good for, Breath of the Wild lasts, what'd they say, like 3 hours? I have a 2 hour and 15-minute flight coming up. Perfect. That's like a perfect time allotment. So I'm super excited for what the Switch brings to me. There are some things I don't like about it. Let's not even talk about how the online functionality does or doesn't exist. It's not good. It's so bad, Nintendo. What were you thinking? But the system has so many cool things going for it, and I'm super excited for the future that the Switch has. I am not a Nintendo person, and even like I said, there are some Nintendo franchises that I just don't care about. Kirby, Mario, generally Zelda. Twilight Princess is awesome though. There's another one I'm thinking of that I can't think of off the top of my head, but there are some I'm super passionate for. Animal Crossing, Star Fox, Metroid. I am now in love with Fire Emblem. Like, just because of the characters, I'm so excited. I love strategy RPGs. I'm excited to play the games. There's, I guess, a new Fire Emblem coming out for Switch. I am pumped. So excited. Metroid Prime 4 coming out for Switch. Yes, sign me right up. There are so many cool things coming out. The Switch's first year didn't have an amazing amount of things for me, but I don't need an amazing amount of things. I just need things I love. And, I already have Fire Emblem. I'm really liking Xenoblade. I have things I love for it, and that's not going to stop anytime soon. For the first time in quite a while, I can say, Nintendo, you are doing awesome. Keep it up. I'm so excited to see where this goes. I am a big Sony fan. And yes, I hope this influences Sony and a future console or future plans, because I think that would be awesome. Nintendo's doing a great thing here. I honestly don't think anybody else would be able to pull this off, but they're doing a hell of a drive with it. So to your first year, happy anniversary, Nintendo Switch, and congratulations, Nintendo. You're doing awesome. Now, for today's shout out, I'm going to give it to Guerrilla Games. Now, a little brief history of Guerrilla. They were named something completely different than in mid-2003 due to some structuring and mergers. They were renamed Guerrilla Games. Now, Guerrilla Games started out by putting out Shell Shock Nom 67, but That's not part of this conversation. Granted, I've never played that one. I'm curious to, because of the studio. But the big thing, they were bought in 2004 for a partnership with Sony Computer Entertainment and have since released, what are they known for? The Killzone series. And even more so than that, Horizon Zero Dawn. Yes, the 2017 PlayStation 4 title that kind of blew up the world. And most people love it. I know a few who didn't like it as much, but these games are awesome. Killzone 3 is still one of my favorite platinums I have. As weird as it sounds, I didn't consider them a first-person shooter. I consider them almost a first-person experience because, you know, normal first-person shooter, you go to jump onto something and your character just jumps and you continue looking straight ahead, etc., etc. In Killzone, if you go to jump over something, you see your character like look down, his hand placed on the object to jump over it or that. When you see him climb a ladder, you're like shaking as if you would be climbing a ladder. Nobody climbs a ladder perfectly still. That's just weird. Like, I really enjoyed how they did that series, and that's why I liked it so much. I loved the design of the characters. The weapon design was incredible. And then, just when people thought all they can do is Killzone, they bring out Horizon Zero Dawn. This game took everything I thought I knew about Guerrilla Games and kind of flipped them on its head, because with this transition, Killzone was a linear first-person shooter with an okay story. Horizon Zero Dawn is a massive open-world action-adventure game that is stunningly beautiful. Most people say if somebody just gets a 4K TV and a PS4 Pro, the first thing people tell them is play Horizon Zero Dawn, because there's almost nothing that looks as good. Now, another great thing about this is that's running on the Decima Engine, which is their in-home built engine. This is an engine built by Guerrilla Games. Now, what makes this special? The Decima Engine will be powering another PlayStation exclusive game, Death Stranding. Yes, Hideo Kojima's game will be running the same engine that Guerrilla Studios has made. So if you want to find like a reason to consider Guerrilla Studios one of the high tier studios out there, think of this person that most people in the gaming industry, like he's an icon in the gaming industry. I personally am not a huge fan of Kojima. I like Metal Gear Solid, but it's not like amazing or that. But he is an icon in this industry, and he chose Guerrilla Games engine to run this. And Guerrilla has just completely outdone themselves and went from, yeah, they are a studio. It's one of the Sony first-party studios, and now they are a studio you can consider in a top tier, along with the likes of Naughty Dog. And that's just impressive. I know I'm kind of a rarity. I thought Killzone Shadowfall was really good, minus the ending. Let's not worry about that. But the multiplayer, I really enjoyed, and that's saying a lot because I'm not big on multiplayer. The way they make their games, the way they look, it must be something with this Decima engine that I love the look of the games put out by the studio, which is something that has me super excited for Death Stranding. I think it looks totally awesome, and Guerrilla has done an outstanding job at really putting their names out there and saying, oh, you thought we were one-sided? Well, watch this. So that's my shout-out for the week. Guerrilla Games. It's hard to go back to the old, like, Killzone 1, maybe 2. I still say give 3 a shot. But, I mean, if you have a PlayStation 4 and haven't played Horizon Zero Dawn, what are you waiting for? I mean, that game is impressive, and you can get the gold edition now, or what, like Game of the Year, whatever edition they call it, that has the expansion, and it's just it's so impressive. And I think you really need to at least give them a look. This company deserves a lot of praise for what they've accomplished, and I can honestly say they're one of my favorite studios out there right now. So Guerrilla Games, today's shout out goes to you. That is it for today's show. Remember, if you like the show, remember to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps me out. I also stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/LocoLizardman. My streams are a little intermittent right now due to helping care for an injured family member, but they will get back to their normal schedule soon. And at some point, maybe even more coming up. Stay tuned to find out for that one. And if you have Amazon Prime, remember that you get a free month of Twitch Prime. If you aren't using it, maybe kick it my way. It's also a huge help. New Let's Plays go up every week, the newest of which is a preview of Yakuza 6. Stay tuned next episode for my full impressions of Yakuza 6, as well as other games I've played, news, and shoutouts. And good night, Legion. Good night.